Good morning, everyone. I'm running a little late this morning, but don't worry about that. I hope you're still here. Uh, for those of you who attended the Holy Guardian Angel uh, workshop or presentation on Wednesday night, uh, the recording is now available to everyone who registered. And if you didn't register for that but would like to uh, uh, play the recording of it, it is for purchase at the moment. So just let me know. Uh, you can. The best way is just to email me, and I'll figure out how to send you the link. And my email is just lonmilo@gmail.com, or get to me on Facebook here, or something like that. It went very well, and we're really pleased with it. But I'm also glad it's over. Happy Good Friday, everyone. If that's the appropriate thing to say on Good Friday. Uh, it just occurred to me that it was, I believe, on Good Friday many years ago when my brother called me to ask if I could perform an exorcism on a very famous and historic Catholic girls' school, high school. Um, and I tell the story, I believe, in Low Magick, the book Low Magick. Um, but it just occurred to me I believe it was on Good Friday that happened, and that whole wild adventure started off. So Good Friday has sort of a spooky feel to me. Be that as it may, we're starting to talk about the hexagram rituals in general today, and hexagram rituals in particular this weekend, the Thelemic hexagram rituals, the Star Sapphire. But right now, we're just opening up to chapter 6, the hexagram rituals. I started off with an epigram from Liber Ararita, which is a series of very, very short poetic chapters that are done in 13 verses each, each chapter corresponding to the letters in the formulaic magic word Ararita, Araita, which is, when translated in Hebrew, you use the initial letters. It's the sentence, "Oh my God, one is thy beginning, one is thy spirit, and thy permutation is one." It's sort of like the hexagram abrahadabra, if you will. But each one of those chapters, each one of those very, very short 13 verse chapters, the chapter that follows is characterized by just the opposite of the chapter that came before. And the third chapter in that series then synthesizes those two, as if opposites canceled each other out. And it's like gaining unity by reconciling the pairs of opposites. which is what the hexagram ultimately is supposed to train the magician to do, or train the magician's thoughts to do. So I start off this very brief chapter on the hexagram rituals with the very first of those chapters of Ararita. The first three are supernal. The first three little verses are supernal. And then verses 3 through 9 would be representative of the planetary spheres coming down the tree of life. And 10, 11, 12, and 13 then synthesize and turn all of those into 12 rays, and then those 12 rays become one. Now, where do you get 12 rays in a hexagram? You've got 12 rays going out for the points, and 12 rays going inward toward the head. So the crown goes out, but the crown also goes in. Those are the 12 rays, and those 12 rays are one. But I digress. O my God, one is thy beginning, one is thy spirit, and thy permutation one. Let me exalt thy perfections before men. In the image of a sixfold star that flameth across the vault inane, let me reveal thy perfections. Thou hast appeared to me as an aged God, a venerable God, the Lord of time, bearing a sharp sickle. Thou hast appeared to me as a jocund and ruddy God, full of majesty, a king, a father in his prime. Thou didst bear the scepter of the universe, crowned with the wheel of spirit. Thou hast appeared to me with sword and spear, a warrior God in flaming armor among thine horsemen. Thou hast appeared unto me as a young and brilliant God, a God of music and beauty, even as a young God in his strength playing upon the lyre. Thou hast appeared unto me as the white foam of the ocean gathered into the limbs whiter than the foam, limbs of a miracle woman, as a goddess of extreme love bearing the girdle of gold. Thou hast appeared to me as a young boy, mischievous and lovely, with thy winged globe and its serpents set upon a staff. Thou hast appeared to me as a huntress among thy dogs, as a goddess virginal chaste, as a moon among the faded oak of the wood of years. But I was deceived by none of these. All these I cast aside, crying, Begone, so that all these faded from my vision. Also, I welded together the flaming star and the sixfold star in the forge of my soul, and behold, a new star, 418, that is above all these. Yet even so I was not deceived, for the crown hath 12 rays, and those 12 rays are one. Now I hope you recognize the gods of the planetary spheres coming down the tree of life. And at the end there, when you were deceived by none of these and you cast them aside, you welded together the flaming star, which is the pentagram, and the sixfold star, which is the hexagram in the forge of your soul. And behold, a new star, 418. Now, 418 is the enumeration of that word abrahadabra, the union of the 5 and the union of the 6. In the next chapter, each of those qualities of each of those verses is totally opposite and totally just as true. Okay. It's a wonderful, wonderful text, Liber Ararbita, and it is the supreme in my meditation on the hexagram and the hexagram ritual. And I highly advise you to study, enjoy it, be inspired by Liber Ararbita in your studies. Okay. Once the magician has become adept in the execution of the microcosmic rituals of the pentagram, the next step, according to tradition, is to master the rituals of the signet star of the macrocosm, the hexagram. The Thelemic ritual of the hexagram is Liber 36, 3 squared. 6 squared. The star sapphire, which first appeared in the 1913 edition of the Book of Lies. As we'll see later, this ritual is much more than the conventional ritual of the hexagram supercharged with Thelemic components. In fact, there are many who consider it Crowley's greatest contribution to Western Hermeticism. But before examining the star sapphire, we need a fundamental understanding of the classic rituals of the hexagram. To this end, we will first examine the lesser ritual of the hexagram and Crowley's comments on the greater ritual of the hexagram as they appear in Liber O, Part 4. For the most part, the rituals are self-explanatory, so I've kept my introductory comments brief. The Golden Dawn defined the hexagram as, quote, a powerful symbol representing the operation of the 7 planets under the presidency of the Sephiroth and the 7-lettered name Ararita, a divine name formed of the Hebrew initials of the sentence. 1 is his beginning, 1 is his individuality, his permutation is 1, unquote. Perhaps the most concise definition of Ararbita can be found in the English translation of the last words of the star sapphire, Crowley's ritual, which is, quote, 6 in 1 through the names of 7 in 1, Ararbita, unquote. Concerning this 7-fold word, Crowley wrote in his 1909 privately printed edition of Thelema, quote, the use of this name and formula is to equate and identify every idea with its opposite, thus being released from the obsession of thinking any one of them as true and therefore binding. One can withdraw oneself from the whole sphere of the Ruach, unquote. Now the Ruach is that part of the Kabbalistic part of the soul that's attributed to the intellect. The Ruach is, the height of Ruach is knowledge. The Ruach is what I mean when I say your meat brain. Your meat brain is the height of the Ruach. You can really get a lot of stuff. You can get tons of knowledge with that, but the Ruach isn't the highest. And there comes a time that you have to transcend the Ruach. And that's what this equating every thought with its opposite does. Transcending the Ruach enables you to cross the abyss, in other words. But we'll get to that later. Well, we'll get to it later and realize we've been there all along. The hexagram itself is illustrative of the union of opposites. In its classic form, it combines the red, upright triangle of fire with the blue triangle of water, which has its apex pointing downwards. We will learn in the next chapter this is not the case with the star sapphire. As we see in figure 11 below, when projected on the tree of life, the hexagram includes the Sephiroth 3 through 9. Now, look at the top of the hexagram there, and you'll see it's sort of pointed. There's an arrow or dotted line pointing sort of, sideways up there to the left to show that it's attributed to Saturn. Saturn is a really special planetary sphere. It's different than the other planetary spheres in the same way as Saturn was not a god. Saturn was a titan. Saturn was older than the gods. The gods, in a sense, came from the titans. The gods started there with number 4 in Jupiter. But that's Greek mythology. But anyway, that area of the dotted line also crosses the abyss, and that abyss area also contains where that the point of the hexagram would be what they call, a special, some people call it a false, but it's not a false. It's a Sephiroth, but it's invisible, and it's called Da'ath, which is the Sephiroth whose title is knowledge. So knowledge is the height of the Ruach. And if you would attempt to stay there from all intent and purposes and for all appearances down below the abyss, you're crazy. You can't wrap your meat brain around the universal subtlety of existence itself. You have to transcend it. And if you try to keep it all packed up in your meat brain, you're going to have trouble with your home life. Okay. As I'm sure many of us know a mystic or two that has fallen into Doth. Okay. Especially when you want to talk Kabbalah with them, and they can prove with gematria that they are Akhenaten. Okay. Anyway, where am I? As we see in figure 11, before Lon digressed, when projected upon the tree of life, the hexagram includes the Sephiroth 3 through 9. Da'ath, Bina, notwithstanding, this area of the tree of life is attributed to the third Kabbalistic world, Yetzirah. So Yetzirah is the Ruach of the universe, okay? And the Vav of the Tetragrammaton. If we recall the allegory of the Tetragrammaton, Princess Hay Final, anesthetized and exiled in the microcosmic world of 5, must be awakened by the kiss of Prince Vav, her brother lover, emissary of the macrocosmic world of 6. Their union eventually results in the princess becoming the supernal queen, Hay, and the prince becoming King Yud. The spiritual role of these 4 characters play will become profoundly important in understanding the star sapphire. So, king, queen, prince, princess, father, mother, son, daughter. Those four create a formula. And that formula can be shuffled, mixed, matched, and create a current going forward and backwards, like an alternating electrical current. Vav equals 6. In this place, representative of the Holy Guardian Angel. The first phase of the great work is to unite the 5 of the magician with the 6 of the HGA. And the first step in doing that is to, quote, equate and identify every idea with its opposite, unquote. Regular performance of the lesser ritual of the pentagram, followed by the lesser ritual of the hexagram, is the symbolic enactment of this process and continues to be an excellent ceremonial routine even for the most advanced magician. The rituals of the hexagram, or in the rituals of the hexagram, the magician stands as the sun, surrounded by the belt of the zodiac. The zodiacal landmarks of the quarters are the cardinal signs, which are oriented on the solar axes of the equinoxes and solstices. So, Aries, fire in the east, Capricorn, earth in the south, Libra, air in the west, and Cancer, water in the north. So those are our landmarks in the hexagram ritual. Standing at the intersection, representing a vertical line running perpendicular to the 2 lines of the cross, the magician sets to work from a position of supreme balance. The rituals begin with the analysis of the key word INRI from the 5 equals 6 ceremony of the Golden Dawn, considered by the adepts of the Aeon of Osiris to be the new improved magical formula of the day. It was the Latinized or Christianized formula of resurrection, INRI. That's why you see it tacked over Jesus' cross on Good Friday. Is seen to conceal a great formula of the Egyptians and the Gnostics. So INRI, in a sense, is the next step from the older great formula of the Egyptians and the Gnostics, and that was I-A-O, spelled I-A-O. As the Kabbalistic cross-section of the pentagram ritual affirms the magician's identity as the perfect reflection of the tree of life, in this section of the hexagram ritual, it's the magician's assertion that he or she is an integral part of the evolving magical formula of the universe. Only the traditional versions of the hexagram, see figure 12, so that's part of figure 12 right there. This is a particularly thelemic form, only the traditional versions of the hexagram, that's the Star of David in other words, were used to illustrate Crowley's Liber O. For zodiacal and planetary work as outlined in Crowley's comments on the greater hexagram ritual, one could just as easily employ the unicursal hexagrams. And that's what they look like. Okay, now that's one way of drawing the invoking and banishing pentagram ritual hexagrams for all of those. But there are others just as fascinating, logical, and you can even make them even simpler than this. But that's, you won't know what you're doing until you know what you're doing, and then you'll know what you can do less than what you think you have to do when you think you know what you're doing. Anyway, For zodiacal and planetary work, as outlined in Crowley's comments, okay. This is a particularly thelemic form of hexagram and will play a large part in our study of the holy hexagram of the star sapphire. So these are just the hexagrams. Star sapphire has what it calls a holy hexagram. But we'll get to that when we get to that. This is, okay. And everything else is just me showing you these different things. So if you wanted to invoke or banish a particular planetary sphere or a planetary influence, here are some standardized unicursal hexagrams. If you didn't want to do that, you could just invoke toward and banish away from the Star of David kind of hexagram things. You draw one triangle first, either to the left or to the right, or moving away from or going toward, with the same logic that you used with the pentagram ritual. Well, we will start the lesser ritual of the hexagram itself tomorrow, and a couple things that maybe I confused you with this morning will be cleared up then, or will take you to a deep level of confusion. Anyway, enjoy your weekend. Tomorrow's Holy Saturday. That's the day he stayed down, I guess, in Christian mythology. And Sunday is Easter Sunday, when we can officially wear our straw hats. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. If you want, if you miss the Holy Guardian Angel thing, the recording is now available. So just contact me. All right. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Oh, I forgot. Baseball season started. The crops will grow. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.